There we go. Hey, how's it going? I'm back. Getting some of the torch scale off real quick. Right. I have foot switch. I don't prefer the hand lever. Foot switch is not very accurate. I can get way more accurate as far as height goes when I draw up by using the hand lever. It's all personal preference. All right, hey everybody. My name's Brock. I am the owner and bladesmith of Woodson Knife Co. Welcome to Monday Live. I'm finishing up these 2 billets of Damascus. We got them drawn out pretty far earlier. I stopped so I cut the ends off and take a little break. So now we're at it again. The small one is almost ready to go to the rolling mill. The big one's got a little bit drawing it. It's called drawing it out. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of stretching it. It's, but yeah, as bladesmiths, we call it drawing it out. But yeah, if you don't already follow me, hit that follow button. Also, do me a favor, hit that like button. The more times you hit the like button, the better. It all adds up. Became a big old banana. I'm gonna flatten it out a little bit. And squish down. All right, so that small one's ready to go to the rolling mill. It's a 16 ton. Whew, it's getting hot. So small one's ready to go to the rolling mill once it's hot again. The big one, not quite. I've got one end that's pretty thick that I need to even out, and then it'll be ready to go over there. But it's getting pretty long. I may have to cut it. England, how you doing, Muddy? Thanks for joining. All right, again, everybody, if you don't already follow me, hit that follow button, and please do me a favor, smash that like button. The more times you hit it, the more likes I get, and the more likely I am to show up on other people's For You page. I really appreciate it. It helps me grow, and we're only at 15 people in here right now, which is really low, usually it's at least, 50, 60, if not higher. But it is a Monday, I know. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Okay. Got to put my glove on. This helps with the radiant heat on my arm. All right. So the bigger billet's not quite ready, and it's all wonky shaped right now. So I'm gonna clean it up a little bit with the power hammer. The little billet's pretty much ready to go on the rolling mill. So we'll set this up like this. We'll use this guy. Oop. I need to adjust it. All right, those are back in the fire. So what I'm doing with the power hammer right now is I'm just knocking down the high spots, trying to get as even as possible, because if I have any really high spots running through this, we'll bog it down to the point where it'll stop, kind kind of a safety, and it will trip the breaker. Ooh, some gray hair going on, sorry. Sorry, I couldn't quite see the screen. All right, so once again, my name's Brock. I am the owner and bladesmith of Woodson Knife Co. I'm working on finishing up 2 billets of Damascus. I got a really big one. I think it's about 24 inches long right now by 4 inches wide. And then the smaller one, I'm not even sure how long that one is. But the smaller one's coming along faster, of course. But the big one's getting there. All right, I'm gonna grab the small one and run it through the rolling mill again. All right, I did end up finishing this guy. Well, actually, I don't know. It's got warp in it, so I'm not done with it. But I got pretty well close. I may run with it and just fix it during heat treat, but yeah, there you go. All right. Yeah, I see the likes. Keep them coming. I really appreciate it. And again, if you guys don't already follow me, hit that follow button. I do lives. I try to do them every Monday. That may change a little bit when we get into the winter. We'll see. And then I do them randomly throughout the week. My goal isn't just to sell my knives and to promote my business. My goal is also to teach people that are either interested or just getting started in bladesmithing, or they're just interested in seeing how it's done. When I was first starting out, it was near impossible to get help from anybody in the bladesmithing community, and my goal is to change that. There's this misconception that techniques are proprietary, or people come up with new ways of doing things. The truth of the matter is there is no new ways of doing things. This is something that's been done for thousands of years. There's nothing we're going to do that hasn't already been done. Besides for like working with titanium. But yeah, so my goal is to help people. All right, let me get that small billet going. All right, before I move on to that big billet, I'm going to mic that and see how thick it is. Now we're nice and straight. This is way too thick though. I don't even know how thick that is. Closer to a ½ inch than quarter. So we're going to set it aside for now. Hey man, how you doing? What's up? Sir? Sure. All right, have a good one. Mail call. All right. Still no comments. Hey, if you guys have any questions about what I'm doing, put them in the comments. I will answer. This is my service dog, Mishka. All right, so we're going to focus on the low billet. I want to get it down to 0.20 to 0.18 inches thick. And so we're at 0.24 right now, so we got a little ways to go. Shouldn't take that long, but we're going to start getting a little more aggressive with it. Being that I've got the big billet aside, it's going to give me a little bit more time to focus on that one, and I'm not going to adjust these back and forth because they're such different thicknesses. breaker. Not a big deal, but it's not really a breaker either. It's just a power strip. Alright, let's see here. No, 0.12 to 0.18. It's going to be just a regular everyday carry knife. If I'm doing a chef's knife or something like that, I may stop at 0.18, but then I'm going to grind the sides down and get closer to 0.16. But it depends. It depends on the knife. Okay, so the way I did this, the way I structured this whole company, actually, let me shut the forge real quick. I'll be right back. We'll leave it open. The way I structured this, and kind of it all came about, when I started the company, I was still working full time, and every penny that was made went straight to the company. I didn't take a dime out until like a month and a half ago when I finally took some money out to pay some bills. But I've used that cash flow, which was really low at first, and then I gained some traction to buy the equipment, to buy, to upgrade tools, to buy the steel and everything. And so over the course of almost 2 years, I was able to buy the press. The power hammer was the most recent large purchase. It's an Yang power hammer. They're about 10 to 11,000 delivered, but they're really nice. They're way better than the Big Blue. I've only used the Big Blue twice, and they were fine. But I'm going off of what bladesmiths that have owned Big Blues and have owned the Yangs have told me that they prefer the Yang. It's also an onboard air system, so you don't have to have a big compressor. It's all there. So that's how I did it. It wouldn't work for everybody, but if you want to build a company and do it kind of slowly without taking out loans, that's the best way to do it. Yeah, power hammers are super expensive. I saved and saved, but yeah. All right, let's see if we can get through that top one this time. There we go. All right. Ooh, it's hot. Yeah, I'm a disabled vet, and that's why I have to have the power tools. My back would not be happy with me. In fact, there's been days where I've done a lot of hand hammering, and I feel it from the top of my neck all the way to my lower back, and especially in my lower back, but just how it is. As a hobby, you have to make, and even if you're going to make it a business, you have to make a choice before you start buying equipment. Do you want to be a bladesmith, a knife maker, or a blacksmith. They're different, okay? So everybody knows what a blacksmith is. They, make all sorts of different stuff. They will make knives. A bladesmith will forge knives to shape and, make their own billets and that kind of thing. A knife maker will cut out the shape of the knives, grind in the bevels, and, heat treat them, do it. The only difference between a bladesmith and a knife maker is the forge and using the forge to move metal. So if you want to make it into a business and your end goal is to be a bladesmith, start out as a knife maker. Buy a good 2x72 inch grinder, then work your way up, because no matter what, whether you're on bladesmith side or what, you have to hit every blade with grinder. And using an angle grinder, it can be done, doesn't come out real well. Cheap grinders, again, doesn't come out real well. Invest in high quality tools, especially my favorite grinder is the Broadback Ironworks 2x72. Mine's just black and pink because those are my company colors. They actually come blue now, I think. But that's where I tell people to start, because you have to have that grinder to be able to profile, put in your bevels, put on edge, finish your handles, all that stuff. Hey, I'm broke too. Oops. Yeah, I hadn't heard of a roller press for steel until I got into bladesmithing. Yeah. No, a 2x72 is about $3,000. You can get really cheap ones, but they're really cheap. And the cool thing about a lot of these kind of tools is the resale value is like 90%. So you barely lose any money, even if it's like 5-6 years old. So if you stop the hobby, you can resell that equipment and make most of your money back. That's why you get a good grinder. It's going to work better, it's going to last longer, and you get a resale value. But they are expensive. Now, I will say Broadback, I don't know much about it. I'm not sponsored by Broadback or anything. I just like their equipment, and I like their people. Their customer service is awesome. But they started doing a finance option, so maybe that's an idea. Yeah, there are cheaper grinders out there, but I started with a cheaper grinder and regretted it. I wish I would have started with a high-end grinder. And it's just one of those things. You got to make your choice on, do you want quality? Because it does matter. Having a better grinder does make your knives better. It's, they just operate better. They're tighter. You can get better plunge lines. You don't have vibration or wobble. Well, it is a decent price. That's a good price for a grinder. The thing is, if you aren't in this world and you see those price tags, your eyes get real big. But Broadback's by far the most expensive grinder on the market, by far. I've seen grinders out there, they're $6,000-7,000 before attachments. And those are meant for guys like me. They're not huge industrial grinders. Sure. Actually, let me do this heat real quick, and then we'll go do a walk around the shop. Yeah, we're way past where I want it, but that's okay. Well, not way past. We are at just a hair below 0.18. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So, next thing I'm going to do is throw this back in there, get it hot, make sure it's nice and flat, and then I'm going to put it in the kiln to anneal overnight. All right. Now let's take a walk around. All right, so forge. This is one I built. This is a forced air gas ribbon burner forge. It's like 24 inches deep because I do really long billets, if you hadn't noticed. Coal iron, 16-ton forge press. Got my Broadback Iron Works. Their banner and everything, which I was able to talk them into throwing in. My disc grinder. I've got my various variable speed buffer. Of course, my anvil. Power hammer. Rolling mill. I've got 2 kilns. I've got my vertical air bath, Genken, and then the Paragon, and just a bunch of other random stuff for knife making. Oh yeah. So I'm going to switch out the dies on my press to flattening dies and run it through there real quick. When I mic'd it earlier, I must have been off or something. It won't really matter for the knife I'm making. Well, the other thing to think about with equipment is attachments. Like for this, you know, these dies, they're not cheap. $300-400 a set. Trying to knock off as much of the forge scale as I could. Yeah, that's the problem with the blade or the knife making bladesmith community is people don't want to help. And that's one of my things with this TikTok and my business in general, is it's not just about me wanting to do custom orders and sell knives from my website that I make, which by the way is woodsonKnifeCo.com. But I want to teach people not only how to get into this, but you know, to do different things, how to put handles on the right way, and you know, do pins, how to do bevels, and how to do Damascus and everything. I want people to be able to find that information easier, or be able to come to me and I'll give the best answer I can. What make is the rolling mill? It's from another maker. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. He's on Facebook. I'd have to find him. But I know he's back east. Oh yeah, 100%. And the problem is everybody thinks what they do is a secret, that they have some special tech to doing different things. And with knife making and woodworking for that matter, there's nothing new that can be figured out. This has been done so long, you're not going to be the first one to figure something out. You know, knife making, unless you're talking titanium, if you can figure out how to forge weld titanium to high carbon steel or stainless, then you've got something new, supposedly impossible. But beyond that, it's nothing new. So acting like everything's a secret, it's a disservice to not only your fellow knife makers, but the trade as a whole. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to go throw this in the kiln. I'll be right back. Yeah, that's right at the big billet. I just put it in. It's right at 24 inches. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And my problem is when I was starting out, I'd see something new that I wanted to learn. For instance, copper kumai. I really wanted to learn how to do that, and I couldn't find anybody at the time. And now there's videos on YouTube, but at the time, nobody would tell me how to do it or even how to begin to do it. I figured it out purely on my own. And it sucks, and it's a large waste of money. Because when you have a billet fail on you, it's done, it's trashed. 99% of the time, you're not going to salvage anything out of it. So by withholding information from people that are learning, you're hurting the trade itself, and you're costing that person money. You know, I'm not saying you got to hold their hand every 10 minutes, but at least pointing them in the right direction, telling them temperatures, or telling them, hey, you have to seal that billet airtight or else it'll fail. If I had known that, that would have saved me, I don't know, probably $500-600 in materials. But then I finally figured it out and, was successful. So I enjoy helping people, I enjoy teaching. I actually have a Patreon set up where my first couple videos were all about how I do my handle material on full tanks, where you can do as many pins as you want and it will line up every time. My last video I did was on sharpening and different sharpening systems, including Broadbeck's new sharpening system. you know, and whetstones and everything. And my next one is probably going to be on grinding bevels and general knife geometry, that kind of thing. So if you are interested in the Patreon, go to my website. It's in the top left corner is the link. Website is woodsonKnifeCo.com. Yeah, and that's horrible, you know, to have a really beautiful piece of wood, or, you know, in my case, handle material or steel or something, and have it ruined because you're trying to learn how to do a certain technique. And, you know, people will say, oh, we'll start out with cheap stuff. Well, then you learn on cheap stuff, and when you go to the more expensive stuff, it moves different, it reacts different. The way to finish it is different, and so it's not a great option. Spider. So, and that's why in my lives, I tell people, hey, if you've got questions, put them in the comments, I'll answer them. Or go to my website, contact me directly, and we can have a conversation. I'll answer your questions there. Yes, it is. And, you know, on my Patreon, that's the other thing, is I'm told people, if you have specific things you want to know, tell me, I'll make a video on it. And eventually those videos will move over to my YouTube and probably onto here some. Spy spider. So you don't need a spy, just ask me, I'll tell you what you need to know. I try. Now, I'm far from even claiming that I know everything. I have not been in this craft for near as long as a lot of people. But that being said, I learn things stupid quick. So I've come a long way in a short amount of time. And I'm going to be on Last Blade Standing this year, season 3. So I'm super stoked about that. Oh, no worries, Joe. I didn't even know. All right, so I think we're going to head over to the rolling mill on this. We've already gone through the power hammer on it. We're just waiting for that big billet to heat up. But I need to adjust this. So the cool thing about the rolling mill, it's not good when you have something a half-inch thick. That's way too much. But when you get down to a little bit thinner, 1/4 inch. This case we're over a 1/4 inch, but I'm trained to get to about 1/4 inch, so that's fine. But the great thing about the power mill, or the rolling mill, sorry, is when you run it through, the whole billet is the exact same thickness. So that's a huge help, less grinding in the end, and a lot less guesswork. They're not cheap. Although I think it was like $1,500 for this plus shipping, which was expensive, but I just can't remember the name of the guy. He is a fellow bladesmith. I just can't remember his name. All right, hey everybody, if you don't already follow me, hit that follow button. Also, do me a favor, smash that like button. The more times you hit the like button, the more likes I get. They add up, and that means the more likely I am to show up on other people's For You page, which will mean more people see this. So it helps me out, and I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna check this real quick. We are almost there. Probably could just do a run through. Just knocking down the high points right now. Right. So, and it may be hard for you guys to see this, but every once in a while it'll come out and it'll be real curved to the side. And I'm not talking it's going to be like a banana, and like the flat side of the billet curves. Now, I can fix that real easy by just cheating an edge off of the wheel on the side that is opposite to where it's bent. So if it curves this way, I cheat it over here and it'll straighten it right out. And I did the same thing using the power hammer earlier. I just cheated over to one side and was able to manipulate the billet and straighten it back out. It's really helpful, and it's something that I didn't figure out for the longest damn time. And with, you know, like the dies on the press and stuff, they're not, as they heat, they're not going to be completely flat. So you're going to have a low side and a high side. So that's why that happens. Hey, I appreciate all the likes, people. Keep them coming. Thank you very much. So we're going for about a quarter of an inch. This is going to be the cladding for Damascus clad sword that I'm going to be doing. It's going to have an 80 CRV2 core. Don't think I'm going to do nickel shims in it. I can't remember if that was part of the process that the customer wanted, but I don't think it was. I think we're just going to go straight to, and we're going to leave the nickel off, I think. It depends on the knife. So for chef's knives, I like to do a 17-degree angle. It's pretty common. For things that need a more robust edge, you know, 20 degrees is about what I do. So all my everyday carries, you know, I'll do about a 20-degree edge on them. So, and what I use now, make sure I can get over there with the cord. What I use now is this guy right here. It uses 1x42 belts. It's got an angle guide on it, and it's Broadbeck Ironworks' new sharpening system, and man, it works really well. Yes, I do sell Damascus blades. Most of my work is custom order. I do have a lot of stuff on my website, but most of my stuff that I do is custom order. And you can ask Joe. He's one of my top customers for damn sure. But yeah, prices completely depend on materials, type of blade, size of blade. If you're interested in a special order, best way to contact me is through my website, woodsonKnifeCo.com. There is a link, if you go to my bio, there is a link that has my website there. No, I've yet to use a file to make a knife, and the reason for that is I use known steel every time. And well, not every time. I do, if it's something fun or just kind of an off the wall try, I may use, you know, some leaf spring that I know of. I do have some files, not real big ones, but I do have some files. The thing is, if steel's already been heat treated, the risk of having cracks in it during the second heat treat, it is significantly increased. And I had that happen just a few months ago with a katana that I was making. I forged it out of an old piece of leaf spring. Oh man, that was a year ago, not a few months ago, that was a year ago. Heat treated and everything, and I could take the whole thing and bend it, right? And it's really nice. Well, I was showing TikTok the last like foot of it, and it snapped off. And I could take the rest of it and put it over my knee and it would go right back to straight. Well, what I realized is it had already had a crack in it, and I just happened to pull on the opposite side of the crack. So that fissure opened and just snapped off. That is very true, Joe. It's very true. All right, let me grab this. Just flip it over the billet using my hand mill real quick. That way I'm doing both sides evenly, both ends. I'm going to check thickness real quick. Not even close yet. We got ways. Well, I may just, it's at 0.33 inches, almost 0.34. I may just go to 0.3 and call it good, because I'm going to have to grind off quite a bit. And the ADCRV2 that I'm going to use is 1/4 inch. So what my plan is to do about between 8 and 12 inches long billet. It's going to be way too long for what I need, but I might have extra and I can make another knife or short sword, or hell, if there's enough material, another sword. I'm a big fan of making extra. I am making some Damascus. Actually finishing up a big Damascus billet, or trying to. It's already about 25 inches long, 4 inches wide, and 0.33, 0.34 inches thick. So the smaller one that we already did, already in the kiln. Once I get this done, it's going to go in the kiln. I'm going to crank up the temperature like 1600 degrees, let them soak 15 minutes, and then let them sit in there overnight. So that way they're fully annealed by the morning, and I can start cutting them up, and it's not going to damage my saw blades. Now, I will have to get all the forge scale off because that doesn't anneal, and it will destroy your blades. Every time I get lazy and don't take the forge scale off, I regret it because I end up messing up my blade. I think, oh no, that's not that much scale. I'll just leave it on. There are some projects that I leave it on purpose because I want those marks. And to take them off, I use a grinder, and so it gets rid of those forging marks. So it's just depends on the situation, I guess, really. All right, I'm first. And while I wait for that to heat up, I'm gonna for my car project. One of them. All of them. Cool. I've got a couple car projects. The one in here is not mine. That little 1972 Beetle is my daughter's. And I've got a Beetle as well, but I just yanked out the motor and transmission because I'm going to do a swap on them. So I'm going to be selling the old motor and transmission. Old, they only had like 1,000 miles on them. But I pulled them out because they were leaking oil. I did not build them. And the rear main seal was out in the motor, which is one of the things I got in the mail. And then the temperature sensor in the nose of the transmission, it was leaking like a sieve because they didn't put any kind of sealer on it at all. And it was in there finger tight. Good afternoon. All right, I think we're about ready. I'm gonna grab that billet. I'm gonna try to get off some of this scale. Give me a sec. At least some. about 27 inches overall on that thing. So we're getting some good length. Be able to get quite a bit out of that billet. So I'm going to just hack off probably what I need for this project. And then use the rest for something else, I guess. I don't know. Maybe restack it and make it a really high layer count. But probably not. I don't really like super high layer counts. 300 I think is about as high as you really need to go, because beyond that it starts getting murky. If you've ever seen a million layer count, you can't even tell it's Damascus. At that point, you just have to take the person's word for it. It has a cool pattern, and there's so much waste when you're doing stuff like that, you may only end up with about 30%, 30 to 40% of the material that you use during the whole process. You lose a lot. So you might ask, why do people do that? Because they can. Now, Joe, this is not yours. This isn't the one I'm doing for you because it doesn't look anything like that. But I did end up working on this. It's got a warp in it, and I'm trying to decide. I think I will. After I'm done with this, I already have the flattening dies in the press. I'm going to heat this back up and run it through on the spine. And just get it nice and straight. This is just supposed to be something kind of fun. A little two-hander. My thought was kind of like a machete. Rounded this a little more than I wanted, but I may keep it that way, I don't know. What we're at. Give me a sec. All right. So that put us a hair under 0.3. So I'm going to flip it around, do the other end, because I can't do both ends now, it's just too long. Get it nice and even. Run it through my flattening dies, throw it in the kiln, let it anneal overnight. How heavy is it? Are you talking about that blade, Joe? I don't know, honestly. Even if you're talking about the billet, I don't know. I haven't weighed it. But that sword I'm working on, or it's almost like a machete, like a two-handed machete. It's not that heavy. It's pretty light, and it'll be lighter once it's all done. But yeah, I can weigh it later. It's back in the kiln, so I can't really weigh it right now. It would melt my scale. And then my wife would be pissed because it's her food scale. Yes, I use my wife's food scale to weigh packages and such. And she knows, so this is where we're at. Very close. But that sword is ready, so I'm gonna flatten it out real quick. Nice and straight. Okay, now let's go back over for our last run through on the rolling mill. Didn't do it fast enough, it killed the breaker. It's always something. It's alright, we'll heat it back up. You know, and normally, if it wasn't for the fact this billet that I'm working on is so much longer, it's sticking out, 4 or 5 inches past the door, the door of my forge. Normally I just leave them in there to anneal overnight because it's gonna cool down super slowly. But because it's sticking out and I can put the whole thing in my kiln, I'm gonna just do it that way. Yes, I'm wasting a little bit of energy, but it's only going to run for like 25 minutes, 25 minutes, and then be done. In fact, I might start it right now. hand's just not wanting to do it. I don't think it's quite hot enough. I think it's so far towards the back side of the forge that it's not getting the same amount of heat. So I got kind of half in now, so that end is right in the middle. We're pretty close to it. All right. I'm tired already. It's not even 2 o'clock here. But I don't stop for lunch. I'll take breaks here and there during the day, but I don't eat lunch anymore, just breakfast and dinner. Not quite. Yeah, I love that Paragon kiln. So I turned it on set for 1650. I just turned it on, it's already up to 750 degrees. 2 minutes in, that's quick. Okay, let's try it now. Yeah, I know, that's how I should have done it in the first place. What the heck? Alright. This last billet sure being a pain. Oh, when I was talking earlier about taking off forge scale, and I don't always like grinding it off. The reason is I use this to grind off forge scale. Lasts a lot longer than a wheel or flapper disc or anything like that. But even those, they're going to put deep marks into the billet. So I only use this if I'm going to surface grind that billet flat. Turned up the heat a little bit. We were 1980 degrees, so I might guess it closer to 2100 and try this again, because that end just does not want to get the right thickness. Frustrating. We're already up to 2055. Definitely a more even color. Okay, there we go. All right. Now we know the entire length of that billet is the same thickness. So when it comes to making knives out of it or anything, it makes the process that much easier. I'm going to sit you guys all the way back here so you can see the entire billet this time. So I'm going to have to do this in 2 shots because I've got like 6-8 inches sticking out of the forge right now, and that's where most of the warp is. So I'm going to do the one end, flip it around, finish it up, and then we'll throw it in the kiln. So getting closer. Now I just got to flip it around and do the other end. All right. So where did we figure that out? What's 32 times 6? Or 90. I can't do it. 32 times 6. So let's see. Yeah, 192. So this big bill is 192 layers. That end was completely cold. Well, not completely, but it was black hot. So probably like, I don't know, 700, 800 degrees. So it's going to take a minute to get up to temp. Enough that I feel safe moving it. Whoops. I did not mean to do that. I accidentally exited out of the app trying to check the comments. Make sure I didn't miss any. All right, I'm gonna go throw this in the kiln. Housekeeping real quick. All right, so that concludes Monday forging. I'm tired. Tired and sweating. Even though it's probably like 70 degrees outside, it's got to be over 100 in the shop, even with it open and a breeze. It gets ridiculous. Part of me is kind of excited for winter just because of that. So, all right, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching. If you don't already follow me, hit that follow button. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Also, as always, be kind, much love, and you all have a great week. Thanks, Joe. You too. I'll see you later.